Guys, it is game 3 time. I hope you are ready for the final game of this show match. Spawning in the lower right, the victor of the last game, the Yellow Terran. He is Pasildan. And in the upper left, victor of the first game, a well-fought battle in the second, but the positioning for his opponent was too good. He is the Blue Terran, Dragon. We're going to be here on Ohana, guys, for the last game in this series, Heart of the Swarm, TvT. Still my favorite mirror matchup, still very exciting, and my god, Widow Mines get me moist. Oh my god, I mean you heard me freak out. I really apologize if I kind of yelled in your ear there, but seeing shit explode is awesome, and seeing it explode when you do not expect it to happen is actually even better. So I'm really hoping we see more Widow Mines here. I don't know if that's a secret or not. On Ohana, how do you play TvT? Well, you have quite a few options. I mean, I see I feel like this is a pretty decent map for a mech just because it's relatively easy to lock down the 3 bases. But that being said, bioplay still works very well, especially because there's a lot of drop area in the main. If you do play mech here, it's very important you get a turret ring around your base. And especially in Heart of the Swarm, I mean, we got to think in Heart of the Swarm terms, of course. What are these guys going to do? I mean, for once, we're seeing Dragon not proxying. So that's pretty neat. Neither of these players are proxying. So we're going to see the first standard opening we've seen in any of these games. And how are these guys going to play standard TvT Heart of the Swarm? It's hard to say. We do see a lot of Reaper openings. It wouldn't surprise me to see them again. We are going to see a gas go down here for Dragon and Pasildan. So it's likely going to be Reapers. I'm going to say it's Reapers. Well, the gas for Dragon was a little bit late for the quickest Reaper in the world. Oh, I'm so conflicted. I don't know. Okay, I'm thinking Reapers for Pasildan. Dragon is probably going to get... he's probably going to get Reapers too. What am I saying? What am I saying? I don't know. Definitely going to start with a Marine, though. And meanwhile, show me that Reaper Pasildan. He's totally getting the Reaper. Look at him not building a Marine. Look at him not making anything out of the spares except for a Reaper. There it is. There it is. So Reaper opening. Dragon, what do you have up your sleeve? You have large sleeves, my friend. You had a lot of tricks up there. That is a fact. And he is going to follow this up with a Reaper. So Marine first, and that's pretty good. Especially considering if your opponent goes for the quicker Reaper, this way you can have 2 Marines out by the time he gets there with the Reaper, and still have your Reaper across his base. You won't need it to defend. He's also got the supply depot here, so the Reaper can't jump up. Very, very nice. I love this meta, since Reaper openings are so common. We see Pasildan actually going immediately for a second gas, so I feel like it's going to be a Hellbat drop from him. Meanwhile, Dragon is going to get his command center down. Looks like Pasildan is going to be the heavy aggressor in this game, but Dragon is still going to be working on some harassment. These 2 Reapers actually might spot each other. Did Pasildan... Oh, okay, he's going to see the Reaper from his opponent, but is Dragon going to see his Reaper? That's going to be a pretty good question. He's well prepared for it either way, and no, Pasildan quickly circumventing that Reaper. However, the supply depot, I don't think it's going to prevent the Reaper from coming up or anything, and actually he's just going to go around it, but still really cool from Dragon, and Dragon should have another Marine out in time. No, he actually went straight into a Reaper, interestingly enough. Which, actually a pretty good idea considering how fast Reapers are. You do need to be able to chase them away and at the same time chase them down so that their regen won't come into effect too quickly. So he is going to try to chase him away from the base. It's a little bit risky. I mean, if he had that second Marine out and he had those Marines in position, he probably could have denied any damage on his SCV, but it's still a pretty solid choice. I like it. So, meanwhile, back at home, what is Pasildan going for with these 2 gases? He does have a factory up. He does have a factory up. We do see a command center coming down, but you've got 2 gas Pasildan. It's piling up. What are you going to do with it? I really feel like it's going to be... I really want it to be a Hellbat drop, man. That's really what I'm feeling. He's going to hand the reactor over to the factory, but obviously it's not going to spend his gas very much. Dragon, meanwhile, is making Marauders, which are pretty good versus the Hellbats. Better than Marines. What has he seen from his opponent? Actually, nothing. We do see these 2 Reapers going to pick off this Marine. 2 Reapers versus 2 Reapers, and of course, Pasildan taking the first shot here. Really good micro and targeting from Dragon. Is going to manage to pick off one of those Reapers. Man, he tried to get up that cliff, but he just couldn't do it. The little Reaper that couldn't. Meanwhile, we actually have double Widowmine coming out here from Pasildan, so it's definitely going to be a drop of some sort. Oh my god, he's building a tech lab. Okay, so it's going to be Banshee Cloak. It's going to be Banshee Cloak from Pasildan. He kept me guessing. I thought he was going to go for a very quick starport and go for a Hellbat drop. Possibly has a little bit more pride than that because they're still very strong. Dragon going to be coming up here. Actually going to scout everything and pick off the SCV that's building this starport. So that is pretty cool. He did see that Widowmine, so he knows what's being produced out of the factory too. Bam! That Widowmine took out that Marine. But it did not take out that Marauder, which is going to be the most dangerous unit. Now, 2 Reapers and a Mineral Line are much more dangerous than 1. It's kind of a buddy system situation, but both of them are going to get picked off. Dragon just kind of funneling in the units very slowly, very one at a time. But because Pasildan went for incredibly fast Widow Mines, his defense is going to be a bit sparse. The thing about Widow Mines is, I mean, yeah, they're great defense, but they're immobile. They take 3 seconds to burrow. Your opponent can just target them down or move out of the way. The 2 things we've seen from Dragon here, he's going to try to burrow down. He's going to have to leapfrog these Widow Mines if he wants to try to ward away these units, but Dragon continuing to find holes in the defense of Pasildan to make sure that can work. The scan is going down. Pasildan going to retreat most of those Widow Mines. Very nice by him, and it looks like both of them are going to go down to left. He is continuing to produce Hellions now because the Widow Mines are just not mobile enough. This command center is tanking a lot of damage. Dragon's not going to be able to kill it, of course. If it gets to emergency mode, Pasildan can just lift it off, bring it back home and repair it, which is what he's doing, but Dragon using this window to produce a 3rd command center. The scan up here is actually going to see the tech lab on the starport, but it's not researching Cloak. I think he might be waiting until the scan fades out. He should be getting Cloak, though, considering the amount of gas that he has gotten. Otherwise, I just don't know what he's going to spend it on. Building a 3rd command center up here to make up for the economic deficit that he's been forced into. Dragon being incredibly effective with these units here in the front of the base, but I think Pasildan does have enough to go and just fight them now with the 6 Hellion count. Of course, he doesn't have an armory, so he can't get the Hellbats quite yet, but he can start working on his opponent's hit points. Dragon has no way of repairing or healing these Marauders. And with the Banshee, it looks like it is going to shut it down. Is going to reveal the Banshee play, but of course, Dragon, having seen that tech lab, is not going to be too surprised. Still no Cloak research going down for Pasildan, so it looks like he's just going to abandon it altogether, instead choosing to spend some gas on a Raven. Reactor does get taken off of that factory, slowing down the production, and now finally, many minutes later, the aggression of Dragon, which was a very small unit number, has finally been taken away. Why don't we take a look at that SCV count, folks? 42-30 in favor of Dragon. He has 4 command centers almost, and now it looks like it's time for Pasildan to start laying on the hurt. Is he going to be able to do it, though? He's got 6 Hellions, he's got a single Reaper. He does have a Banshee. Where is said Banshee? Looks like it's over here picking off the SCV, building a turret and building the command center. So far doing some work. Okay, there's no Widow Mines. Oh, no. Dragon does actually have more Widow Mines than his opponent. I assumed they would be later in the tabs. When I didn't see them over here, I didn't expect them to be in front of SCVs. I thought it kind of went in the order of tech level. SCVs, of course, being the most basic. But Dragon, with those Widow Mines, should be able to defend actually pretty well versus the Banshee, since Pasildan ended up not investing in that Cloak. Banshee not going to be able to do much. Oh, the Hellion's getting caught out. Concussive shells from those Marauders, making sure that at least a couple of them went down. Meanwhile, the army turning into something fierce. Dragon, I keep wanting to, whenever I see Marauders, I just want to say it's Bomber, but I know it's not Bomber playing. I know it's Dragon. So anyway, he's going into, looks like, well, why don't we take a look at his buildings before we say what he's going into. Right now he has a bio-style, but one of his barracks is busy floating, and he's about to hand a reactor over to his factory, so it's pretty good chance he's going into mech, and the same can be said for Pasildan. And I was saying earlier, or at least I meant to, when I was talking about what compositions that people go for on this map, Heart of the Swarm, they want you to mech. They made mech very nice. They made it very much more mobile, much more flexible. So even if a map is not particularly popular for mech in Heart of the Swarm, with that meta change, it will start being nice pickoff of that Widow Mine by Pasildan, really controlling the map with these Hellions. And man, if you can catch a Widow Mine before it burrows, you just got that map control there. So he's going to start have to start leapfrogging out with these. Be a little bit more careful, because Pasildan is very active with his Hellions, and it's unlikely that Dragon is going to be able to get away with too much. Meanwhile, a 5th CC for Dragon. He is just expanding all over the place, feeling very comfortable behind his Widow Mines. We do have a Raven coming out, and it's so cool to see these Ravens. Number one, the Seeker Missile is amazing, and of course, you do need that detection to deal with those Widow Mines SCV count. 17 more for Dragon than for Pasildan, 71 to 70. Now it's 72 to 53, so really climbing up there at the 19 mark. Looks like Pasildan going to be taking his third a little bit later than his opponent, and man, Dragon's playstyle, oh so fun. Getting those fast command centers. Of course, it is limiting his production. We do see a 4th factory finished? No, okay, here it is. 4th and 5th factory just coming up, whereas Pasildan's are done and producing. So his army supply should be climbing up. We already see him with a 6 army supply lead. This is where you see those trade-offs. We're like, oh, Dragon is doing great, man. He's got 5 command centers. He has a huge economic lead, but of course, Pasildan he's behind in that regard, but he's made up for it in other areas. It's just how the game works. He's got these 5 factories out. He's going to be able to make a huge army, going to continue racking up that deficit until Dragon can get these extra factories up, and a 6 command center for Dragon. Does he know when to stop? The answer is no, he does not. First with the proxies, now with the CCs. Continuing to make me smile. Looks like Dragon is moving across the map. Quite a few Hellions. We got Marauders in here to deal 666 damage to the tanks if they decide to come up. Did he get stim? No, and I like that, of course. He did not really invest heavily in bio because he's not making a lot of bio, but oh my god, the Hellions tearing apart the SCVs. Economic advantage for Dragon just went down the drain. 31 SCVs killed, 34 in total. Dragon now 10 SCVs behind his opponent. I mean, he's got 6 command centers, so he sure as hell can make them as fast as his opponent can break them, but that was a big victory for Pasildan, who didn't really lose too much army in that. I mean, Dragon does have an advantage now. I think he lost about 6 Hellions, but as long as Pasildan pulls back to a defensive position, he's got the tanks. He's got, actually, Jesus, he's got the tanks. He got the tanks. He's got a Raven with the capacity to lay down a Seeker missile, and he had some Widow Mines. Actually, no, it looks like all the Widow Mines were picked off. So this push from Dragon is pretty scary, but the spread for Pasildan is pretty darn good. Hellbat's coming in right now. What are the upgrades for these players? We have +1 for Pasildan. That's going to be a pretty big advantage. The PDDs are dropped down, so the Banshee and Viking shots from Dragon are eaten up. Pasildan with the huge tank count. As long as he sieges these guys up, he should be able to take this off, but they're kind of derping, not going to be able to shoot. Dragon going to siege up over here. The SCV is getting pulled to get on top of these tanks. That guy got smoked, but it looks like his allies are going to be able to clean up these tanks, as well as, of course, the actual fighting units of Pasildan. And it was a pretty close hold there, but Pasildan did have the defender's advantage, and man, the tank count is oh so important in TvT, and even more important when both players are going back. I guess it's potent as well. Definitely not impotent. Don't want to combine those two words. They mean pretty different things. Dragon pulling back now. He's going to be operating off of 4 bases. Pasildan only on 3. He has now evened up the worker count. Does Pasildan have another command center in production? No. Right now, it looks like we check the structures tab, we can actually see that we have only 1 command center. That's not right. Where's the orbital command? Okay, there we go. 6 orbital commands for Dragon and 3 for Pasildan. So obviously the SV count going to be huge. He's going to have more mules. He's going to have more scans. And scans are actually pretty important if your opponent has a superior Viking count, which Pasildan has had for most of this game. Lost quite a few in that engagement, but Dragon is actually starting to even it up now. Continuing to push across the map. Why don't we take a look at that take count? 12-9 in favor of Pasildan, but he needs to have them sieged up and prepared. And the further you can move your army up, the better, because the choke gets narrower. Looks like the siege up is going to happen, needs to happen, has to happen for these players to be successful. But no, they're just going to go right into full-on tank fighting mode with the Hellbats coming up here, soaking up a lot of damage. I think Pasildan does have the advantage here. The upgrades are actually favoring Dragon, though. He did get that +1 completed, and oh, the Vikings landing from Pasildan, but Hellions coming from the back for Dragon. This has a lot of layers. This is a double-decker sandwich of a battle, but he does manage to push his opponent back. Dragon, he's building a command center over here. My god, I can't even handle Dragon right now. Club can't even okay, wow. I'm just gonna ignore that right now. No, I'm saying it. Club can't evil. Oh my god. I think I might erase this part from the audio track. I think I'm just gonna have to go back and erase it. I'm gonna think about it. But the club can't even handle Dragon right now. So Dragon working on kind of maintaining his position now. Having lost another army, Pasildan does have the army supply advantage, 93-62. The Hellions pushing up here. Oh, Widowmine, I heard an explosion, and I think it killed a Hellion based on the wheel that just faded out of view. Now, if Pasildan can hold this tower and get sieged up, he is going to have a much easier time defending his bases and throwing back Dragon's pressure. And it looks like he does manage to grab that tower. Dragon's command center, man. Absolute baller. Actually going to deny Pasildan. Pasildan has no idea about this until the command center is going to go attempt to land on it. Pretty ballsy move there from Dragon. Pasildan coming up right now. What is the tank count? What is the army count? It looks like Pasildan has a pretty good advantage. Upgrades 2-0 for Pasildan, 1-1 for Dragon. He does have Cloak for his Banshees, but do we have that many Banshees for the Terran? Just 1 coming out right now. It looks like a pretty good arc and initial engagement from Dragon is going to force Pasildan back. Meanwhile, this command center is like, what? This is supposed to be my base. Pasildan is probably just going to siege up out here. And it looks like he's actually going for the hard contain. Banshee is going to get picked off before it even has a chance to cloak. Doesn't really matter because, of course, the Raven is there. And, oh, Dragon is going to charge into this, but that is a really well-spread siege line. All the Hellbats are going to get picked off, which means there's nothing to tank for the tanks. However, nothing. I think Pasildan's just going to be able to clean this up. Well, actually, these tanks are a little bit farther away than I initially thought, and Dragon is again able to poke in from that angle. Looks like the command center for Dragon was denied. He is actually starting to steal from that gas and bring some kind of command center over here. A very nice angle of attack for Dragon. Does manage to break Pasildan's short-lived contain. And, man, these guys are just all over each other. Both these guys so aggressive. Dragon both aggressive in attacking and expanding. This is actually a very fun matchup. More SCVs have been killed by Hellion Run-Bys and will continue to be killed. Pasildan all over it. Still behind in the SCVs, though, because of the ridiculous command and OC count for Dragon. Meanwhile, Dragon pushing in here. He's got the Thors mixed in. They have great DPS. They're able to soak up a lot of damage. And now the tank count, coupled with these Banshees, are starting to overwhelm Pasildan. Command Center just building right in view. Is it going to be a Planetary Fortress war? God, I hope so. That's the one thing we haven't seen in these games. Everything else has run the gamut. This game is absolutely insane. This series is so cool. I am loving it. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Oh my god, it's not even over. Dragon going to be coming up in here. Army supply 77 to 64. He's going to be sieging up on this Planetary Fortress, realizing he can't just build another Planetary Fortress and fight it. A bold move, but not one that worked out for him in the end. Terran Ship Weapons level 2 coming out. Pasildan really does like his air upgrades. Right now, he's only got one Viking in the air, though. And of course, the Viking Wars are very important. Definitely not discounting that. But right now, it is all about the Hellbats. Pasildan going to be coming in here. His tank count looking good. A lot of Dragon's army is over here assaulting the 4th base of Pasildan. But the reinforcing units from Dragon are going to get a good arc and clean that up using those scans to get that high ground vision. The Banshee just going completely uncontested as well. Planetary Fortress has been demolished. Mules and SCVs retreating to a safe position, but Dragon, his army supply is 85 to 56. His upgrades 1-1 to the 2-0, so obviously if you're walking into a siege line, Pasildan's going to have a pretty good advantage on that. But now it looks like Dragon is starting to pursue the army, flanking with these tanks, forcing Pasildan into a siege. But no, it is too late, too little. Dragon is going to take the victory on Ohana, which puts him 2-1 and the victor of this best of 3. Guys, thanks for watching some more Heart of the Swarm content. Keep your eye on the channel for more, and please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I am in the process of getting partnered with The Next Gamer, and I am just a few subscribers short. Got to reach that 200 mark before I can do it. So please subscribe if you haven't. We're oh so close, and we can make a better viewing experience for you and for me. And I guess that's going to be it. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll be posting up a lot more videos in the near future, and I'll see you at the next cast. Word up.